All right, what's going on, guys? So today I am here in magical Costa Rica with the man, the myth, the legend, Loren Lockman. In my eyes, you're one of the most incredible health advocates and long-term raw vegans. There's not many people that do it better than you do. So I've personally just gone through, my first long-term water fast. I did 18 days, and it's completely changed my life. And I just want to thank you so much for what you've done for the world and for this place. And I can't even believe now that I'm done with it. It's just like a whole, different world that I'm living in now. So the world, this is Loren Lockman. So why don't you tell us, I guess, who you are,
Sure,
where you're from, and what this place is here.
absolutely. Thank you so much, Jeff, for your kind words and introduction. Yeah, I'm Loren Lockman. I think it's fairly a common story. I mean, your story is similar. You had health challenges. You started looking for a way to resolve your own issues. And along the way, you decided to share with other people. I did the same thing. Part of my journey, to health was fasting. It's what allowed me to overcome some significant health challenges. And after completing, quite a few long fasts of my own, I looked around at the places, when I first realized fasting, I came across Arnold Ehret's book, Rational Fasting, published about, some 65 years before I found it. He was dead already. And I didn't realize there were actually places you could go do this. Later on, of course, I realized there were actually knew most of the practitioners. But I wasn't really thrilled with what I was seeing in those places. They were all too clinical, too medical, and it wasn't too cold, too sterile. It wasn't what I wanted. I knew that fasting was better in a natural setting and better with when it was done understanding what real health is about.
Not in a medical facility.
Not in a medical facility at all. And so I decided that what the world really needed was a different type of fasting center. And that was what spurred me to create Tanglewood. Tanglewood is now 24 and a half years old. We turned 24 years old in March. So we're in our 25th year now. We have guided many thousands of people from all over the world. I think right now we've got people here from 8 or 10 countries. That's typical. Sometimes it's more than that. It's been an amazing journey. It's been frustrating and challenging in many ways, but it's been an amazing thing because we do see unbelievable things happening all the time. I don't know if I told you. Just doesn't. There's so many stories we could spend all day, but just 2 days ago, I'm fasting a woman now. She's in her 30s. She was in a terrible accident 4 years ago. She lost the complete use of everything. She's a quadriplegic. She's in bed. She has full-time care. She can't eliminate without an enema. And, at least she couldn't.
I know that feeling.
She couldn't. And now she is. She's had one bowel movement every day without an enema now for the last week. She completed her fast, 26 days fasting. She's doing an extended refeeding with me to make sure everything is, she's really on top. And 2 days ago, she was so elated, she showed us that she was moving her arms.
No way.
She hadn't been able to move. There's some movement, but she was able to do things. She's able to do things now that she hasn't been able to do for 4 years. And medicine, her doctors told her, after 2 years, if there's no recovery, it's never going to recover. And here it is recovering after 26 days fasting. We literally see miracles like this all the time. No, miracles.
Yeah, not miracles, just nature.
Well, the miracle is the human body, the amazing intelligence of the body when we get out of the way. It's incredible what happens. So.
Yeah, to me, it's like pretty incredible the amount of things that are healed. Not, say you come in with Crohn's disease, I've healed like 7 things that I can count just in the past 5 days of refeeding,
Right.
And it's like, so you don't just heal one issue.
No, that's right. I don't know if you've ever done any boating. There's an old boating saying, a rising tide lifts all boats, right? And so health is really about meeting all of the body's needs as well as possible the way nature intended. So when we get out of the body's way, which is what makes fasting so powerful when done properly, we're just getting out of our amazing body's way so that it can cleanse and heal as well as possible. When we do that, everything heals. Everything that can heal heals. It's amazing. It's amazing what happens. That's what keeps me, even when it's been challenging, even when I haven't known how I'm going to pay the bills, even when it's been frustrating, and I've been attacked every day.
I could imagine
for more than 2 decades. This is crazy. You're it's a cult. You're stealing people's money, whatever. I keep doing it because we have people like you. We have so many amazing things, and it's amazing. It's very gratifying to see people completely shift their health.
Yeah. It's to go through the process. I've been so scared of it. I started my journey with juicing and the fruit diet, and
I did too.
Yeah. And so it's like, it can be scary because you're going through such withdrawals in such a long time that, modern society has deemed like, this is insane. You guys are nuts, psychopaths. It's well, if you think about it, it's actually the most natural form of anything.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, as you said, it's all relative. We've all come up in this culture where this is completely foreign. It's medicine. It's taking toxic medications, which is now the norm. And if you don't want to do that, look at the world today. If you don't want to take their toxic medications, there's something wrong with you, right? No, we've got it completely backwards.
Yeah. So, if you wouldn't mind, I'm sure a lot of my viewers and a lot of people who just find your page are like, water fasting, I've never even heard of that. I personally had never even heard of water fasting until probably 4 or 5 months after I found juicing. And then I read the same book, Rational Fasting by Arnold Ehret. And I was like, what? That doesn't even really make sense. Going without food, I thought that the juice heals you. I thought the fruit-based diet heals you. So if you wouldn't mind maybe just going through the process of what does water fasting do for the body?
Sure.
If we don't get downpoured on.
Yeah, it sounds like we're about to get rained out.
Yeah.
Actually, we're good. We got a roof, but the noise might be challenging. Basically, in fact, if I could, maybe you'll step back and talk about the actual, the philosophy, the science. What's happening? Not the specific details, but how can this be beneficial? Because most people, most of our clients, if they made what I think is usually the mistake of telling other people what they were planning to do, they probably had questions like, how is starving going to help you? Why would you, what, you want to die? Why are you trying to kill yourself? Those things like that. But let's start with the fact that there are roughly 25 million animal species in nature. Virtually every one of them, when sick enough or badly enough injured, will stop eating. It will lay down. It will find a comfortable place to rest. It will rest completely. I don't know if you've ever seen a cat or dog do this. As we have 7 cats here. 3 or 4 of them have fasted on their own, one of them twice. And for 5 days, they'll just lay in one spot. They won't move. They refuse food. They'll refuse water unless they're thirsty. They'll drink. But what's going on is very simple. And this is the piece I think we've really lost sight of. Healing and cleansing are biological processes, right? We act as if, you need to have a protocol, like a product, a cleanse, a juice, an herb, a supplement to cleanse you or to heal you. No, it doesn't work that way. These are biological processes. So only the organism, the body, can heal the body. Nothing else can heal the body except the body. What happens when we fast is we're simply getting out of the body's way. By resting completely, the body has more energy to heal. And what takes more energy than anything else? Processing food. And so animals instinctively know. They don't have to read a book. It's in their DNA. If we have to heal something serious, we don't eat. That's what they do. And it's crazy. Today at the lecture there was questions. Yeah, but don't we need protein to heal this? Don't we need this? No, we don't. We just need to rest and let the body do what it can do. And it sounds so crazy, and most people imagine that you can't survive 18 days without food.
Or let alone one.
Well, right. Most people think if they skip lunch, they'll probably die. But the fact is, the average person can go somewhere between 6 and 8 weeks without eating.
Yeah.
And you can talk about your process if you like. I'm sure you'll already be sharing it on your channel, so your viewers probably know about that. You had some challenging things going on, for sure. And your decision to stop when you did.
It wasn't your decision.
No, it wasn't my decision, but it was your decision to make, and it made perfect sense. But I think it's important to point out, you didn't stop fasting because there were no more reserves. You didn't need to stop fasting. You stopped fasting because it made sense to you, and that's fine. But the point is, even someone who started out fairly lean can generally go 6 weeks. Okay, and I mean we actually do that and see that all the time. People who are pretty lean. We have a couple of people now at the 4-week point who came in pretty skinny and are still going
with energy too.
And yeah,
like Aaron.
Right. I was thinking of Aaron. It's interesting because we'll have people come to visit sometimes. People they're fans, they're in Costa Rica or whatever, and they're like, can I stop by and say hello, just see the place? And they come in and they're kind of expecting like people are going to be laying around looking like they're half dead. And that there are some people like that who just are so weak or feeling so sick. But often they're talking to someone and they'll say, so, are you fasting? Yeah, this is day 30. And they're going, what? Really?
Yeah.
It's, it blows people away, but that's how it is. So, yeah, I mean, our culture just doesn't understand the process. But the process is completely natural. It's almost always completely safe as long as we know what we're doing. And this is the thing. It's difficult for most people to do this well on their own. It was difficult for me. I didn't do it very well when I started. Very few people do because it's not something we've grown up with. It's not something we really understand very well. And it's so difficult for most of us, not only to differentiate between something that's problematic and something that's just a symptom of cleansing and healing, but even if we intellectually understand that, it just feels scary. And I think most of my clients would say that it was critically important to have me there saying to them, you're okay, don't worry, we see this all the time, this is fine, if that's the truth, right? And when it's necessary to stop people, it rarely is, but sometimes it is.
Yeah, to be honest, me personally, even day number 2, my blood sugar crashed, and if I were to try to do this at home, I'd be like, well, I'm going to break my fast now. I feel like I'm going to die day 2. Yeah. And you were like, just chill.
Right.
It'll probably pass.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, that was something. As you know, we have a doctor, an MD, fasting here right now. Someone who has decided maybe medicine can't help him with his issues, and so he came here instead to heal. And he said today, we talked about this today, how any doctor would have said, no, you need intervention, like immediately. And I understand that. What I've learned in the 30 plus years that I've been fasting and 25 years that I've been fasting other people now is that we really have to look at the whole picture, because although your blood sugar was low, you were clearly okay. And I mean, it's easier now for me to say this because I've seen this dozens of times. So the blood sugar goes to levels that most people think are insane, like you have to go to the hospital now. and yours were there for 4 or 5 days.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, in most cases, it's 1 or 2 days and that's back up. Yours took about 5 days. But ultimately, we did no intervention whatsoever, and it came back up, and now it's perfectly fine.
Yep.
In fact, again, this is for your people, so they probably already know this by the time this comes out, but I think it's fair to say you're more than perfectly fine.
I feel better than I've ever felt in my entire life.
Right.
I've done all the juice cleanses, all the mono fruit meals, and this doesn't even compare to anything else. It's uncomparable.
Right. Yeah. And it's, I wish I could say everyone felt the same way. That's not true.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, some people, by the time they're done the process here, they're not really done the process. They're still in the middle of something. They may not feel very good, but everyone does leave us measurably healthier in a myriad of ways. And the only people who don't see really huge benefits in most cases are people who really aren't doing what they need to do.
Drinking enough water, not resting enough.
Exactly. Yeah. And there's those people here right now who every day they're like, I can't drink anymore. Don't want to drink anymore. Definitely don't want to rest. The ones that are on the internet all the time. They're unfortunately not going to get as much benefit.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
I think most people have such a hard time just doing nothing. That was my hardest issue. You know,
Yeah.
I couldn't really do anything. I'd say I'm like
Right.
a rarer case because most of the people here are like pretty decent. You know, they're functioning, they have energy.
Yeah.
I was pretty much dead the whole time. So I would say most people shouldn't base their experience off of what I went through.
Right. That's right.
But it's hard to just not do anything, but it's important. It's super important.
Oh yeah,
you know?
no, it's critically important because once again, you know, the idea really is to conserve as much of our energy as we can, so the body can use that energy to cleanse and heal. If you're using energy, watching movies or reading books or talking all day or posting on Facebook, that's energy that's not available to cleanse and heal, right? I think it's probably fair to say that you would prefer not to go through what you went through this time again.
Yeah, of course. It was brutal.
Exactly. And although, I mean, and it's really great because it was brutal and you're still saying, and I've never felt this good. And you said to me earlier today, I hope I can say this. I already know I want to come back. Right? So some people think, oh, that was horrible. I never want to do it again. I think the intelligent thing is to say, okay, that was brutal because of my past choices.
Of course.
Now it's taking me to this level. And if I want to keep going, of course I'll do it again.
Yeah.
I mean, when I started out, it was brutal for me too. It didn't feel good. I had a lot of garbage in my body, and it was painful to get it out. But I wanted my health back. I'd lost my health like you had. You know, I think that's the thing. I mean, some of the people here clearly don't have quite the same motivation.
Some people aren't willing to do whatever it takes.
Some people aren't willing to do it,
and that's okay. And that's why water fasting might not be for everyone, or at least at that length.
Well,
you know.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's certainly not for everyone. There's some people not willing to do it. Yeah, perfect. I mean, you know, would it help everyone? So people have said, oh, you think it's, you know, this works for everyone. Well, yeah, I mean, our bodies work the same way. If we give the body a chance to cleanse and heal, it'll cleanse and heal. If you don't want to, that's another story. You don't have to.
Yeah.
But
it's frustrating for me to be here and have gone through like such a struggle. You know, pretty much the entire time I fasted, I like could barely get up.
Yeah.
And then I see other people who are wanting to like break their fast early, who are like walking around with tons of energy. They're just hungry. And I'm like, oh my God, I wish I could be in your shoes. I would have gone for 40 days.
Well, you know, the truth is they're not even hungry.
Yeah.
It's not hunger.
Yeah.
They can't be hungry because the body's feeding on reserves. You know, the body wants to cleanse and heal. We have someone here now who desperately needed to do at least 21 days and decided to go much less than that, 14. And, you know, very much contrary to my coaching, refused to listen. And no good reason, just, you know, this is long enough for the first time. Like, really? You want to put off your healing until later on.
Yeah.
So another year. Why? Why would you do that? But everyone's motivation is different. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm not talking about right or wrong. You know, for me, it was clear, and I think for you too, obviously, that there's really nothing more important than my health.
Yep.
So I'm going to do whatever I have to do.
Especially when you have it completely taken away or, you know, close to it.
Right.
But, you know, personally, a lot of my issues were because I'd spent 30 plus years destroying my body. Right. And so I knew that I needed to put in like almost brutal work.
Right.
Like the hardest of work to get back to a place because I've tried so many things.
Yeah.
And now that I went through the process and I was struggling so hard, on the last day of my fast, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to do this again. This is gnarly. Right. And then literally after I had my first bowel movement, I was like, I can't wait to come back.
Right.
Like I want to feel this good again, you know, or even better.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And you can continue to feel better and better.
Yeah.
But I understand what you mean. It can be very challenging.
Yeah.
No question about it.
So, you know, a lot of people think this is crazy, but, you know, we've explained that. What can you heal? And is there anything that can't heal with water fasting?
Well, it's a good question. So to start out with, I would say that there are very few things that this won't help. But if you're watching this now and you're already dead, we can't help you. Yeah.
Probably not going to work.
Can't help you. No.
Can't pump you back to life.
That's right. But anything that can heal. I mean, remember, fasting is only about giving the body the optimal conditions to heal. So if something can heal, it will heal more effectively and more efficiently with fasting than with anything I've ever seen. And here now, you know, again, we've had a lot of experience now. We're the largest center for 25 years. And so there aren't too many things we don't see, and there isn't anything that we haven't seen improve, if not heal completely. There are some things, again, we see people every year, 2 or 3. I just responded last night to a woman who is dealing with metastasized, stage 4 cancer, which means there's been metastasis. It's usually in a situation like hers. I mean, her doctors have already said,
not
can't
going to
really do
happen.
much for her. Yeah. Now, will she survive? I don't know. Some people do. Even in that situation, some people do. But that's a difficult situation. She may or may not survive that. There's no way to know. But the most common things, heart disease, we have very good success with. Hypertension, we have 100% success with. Type 2 diabetes, 100% success with. Type 1 diabetes, there are few people who heal completely, although the woman who does our videos had her A1C tested, and according to A1C, she no longer has diabetes.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And even for the last 4 or 5 years, she's been taking like 15% after fasting with me. She's fasted 3 times, but 15% as much insulin as she theoretically should have to take. So even that is a huge win, because you're not constantly putting this hormone in the body that wouldn't necessarily be there, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in a body with a functioning pancreas, your body is making all the insulin it needs when it needs it. But diabetics have to take it, and it may not be the right amount. The less you take, the less you run the risk of having too much in the body at any given time, which is harmful to the body.
I think is interesting too about something like type 1 diabetes is that even though you might not heal 100% your need for insulin,
right.
Everybody who has diabetes usually comes with some other health issue. So
right.
You might heal those other health issues, which is...
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, as you said, we see so many things healing. A lot of people come here with a primary issue, whatever it could be. It could be their heart, it could be cancer, it could be arthritis, it could be almost anything. But maybe if they're older, their vision has probably declined. It always gets better. Maybe
poor circulation, headaches,
exactly.
All the little things that come with a chronic disease. Like I have Crohn's, but I had 20 other health issues also.
Right.
And it's like
right. Well, in fact, I think it's fair to say there's never one thing going on.
Yeah, of course.
Because again, disease happens when the body's out of balance in some way. Mm-hmm. And so there's always going to be something else going on, at least something else. It's across the board. We see amazing things happen. Now, there are some people who shouldn't fast. So obviously, if someone is in the throes of anorexia and has no reserves, again, we fast people who are very lean regularly. And in many cases, we're taking people who couldn't gain healthy weight, cleaning the garbage out so they can begin absorbing again, and they gain weight. And we see this all the time. But if someone literally they're already starving, they can't fast, because fasting and starving they don't coexist. Mm-hmm. You fast until you have no reserves, and then you starve. So if someone's already starving, these people who are, maybe a woman who's 5'2", 70 pounds with anorexia, she can't fast.
Yeah.
A woman who is breastfeeding or pregnant shouldn't be fasting, because the detoxification process while fasting is so powerful, it will affect the fetus if it's still in utero, or it will affect the baby if she is breastfeeding. And so the time to fast, to cleanse the body, is before you get pregnant, if possible. And if you didn't do that, you're going to have to wait until after you're done breastfeeding.
Yep.
But there aren't too many other conditions. And some of them are controversial. There are people who say, we have someone here who was told, you shouldn't fast because you have adrenal fatigue. We talked about this. What else? Fasting is about.
That's exactly
rest.
What you should do.
Exactly. There's nothing better. We've had people who've been told you shouldn't fast if you've got liver or kidney damage, because these are organs of detoxification. They're going to be overly stressed. They're less stressed while fasting than while living the way most people do. Mm-hmm. And so it's still a rest for the body. And we have seen over and over again these conditions improve. In fact, we've never seen them not improve.
Yep.
They always improve. Yeah, I mean, really, there's only these very few things that people really can't fast with.
Yeah. I know a lot of people are very concentrated on getting the kidneys to filter. You know,
Right.
I'm sure you know what I'm about to talk about.
Yeah.
And so I've dabbled with dry fasting a little bit. Just, Dr. Morse is in his own right legendary, but at the same time, it seems to be almost misinformation, because if you think about what all, the root cause of like most health issues is dehydration.
Yeah.
And so if you really sit down and think about the basics of it, it's like, well, if you're dry fasting, you're just going to dehydrate yourself anymore. So would you, just maybe quickly go over like why not dry fast and, why water fast?
Sure. Well, I mean, first of all, let me say that while people may, I mean, again, I'm accused all the time of, oh, you diss dry fasting because you're in the water fasting business. And I'm in the business, and by the way, I mean, that it's funny because like some people think that's a bad thing. Like I shouldn't be making money doing this. What would be better that I'm making money in a way that is harmful to the planet or hurting, I decided I was gonna dedicate my life to helping people. And unless I get paid, I can't do that full time, right? But I'm in the business of helping people get healthy. If dry fasting worked better, we'd be all over that.
Of course, yeah.
We'd be doing that. I mean, it would be a heck of a lot easier to convince people to come spend a week here dry fasting than it is to get people to spend 4 or 5 weeks, 6 weeks. Our average is 5 weeks, water-only fasting. So I've researched everything I could find on fasting for 35 years now, including dry fasting. I have read Filonov's. I've read a translation of Filonov's book in English. Okay, the guy everyone quotes, but no one's read. He says there's not a single shred of scientific support for any of the statements made about dry fasting. Not one. Okay? When he talks about all the amazing benefits of fasting in the book, he's talking about fasting in general, not dry fasting. The statements he makes about dry fasting, there's no support for. There's no science. As far as I'm concerned, there's no logic. There's statements like the cells, like I can't remember exactly how he phrased it, but basically the cells burn up the toxins like incinerators. No, they don't. That doesn't happen. There's no little fires going on inside the cells. It's not happening. It's just nonsense. The idea that it's 3 times more powerful, no, that's absurd. What's true is that the average person goes into ketosis 3 times faster on the first day instead of the third day. Why do they do that? They do that because they're dangerously dehydrated when they start, and metabolizing fat allows them to produce metabolic water much more than if they're still running on muscle, which is what happens in a water fast. The first day, the body is going to the digestive tract, the liver for its glycogen reserves. It's 16 to 20 hours in, the body says, okay, no more glycogen. Then it begins to convert muscle to sugar. And it takes about 3 days or so for the average body to say, okay, you know what? Let's stop consuming muscle exclusively. Let's start burning fat. Whereas with dry fasting, for most people, it happens on the first day. But the reason why is because their body desperately needs the water. A body that's desperately in need of water, which is practically dying of thirst or beginning to literally die of thirst, isn't doing a lot of cleansing.
Yep.
And it's interesting because, again, I mean, people may not believe this, but I came to this completely open-minded. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I never heard of that. I'll check it out. I've dry fasted myself 3 times for 4 days. I can honestly tell you, in no case was there a single thing more beneficial about it for me than water fasting. Now, I've met a lot of people who claim to have had a lot of benefits, but every year for the last 6 or 8 years, we've had several people here, at least per year, who have been dry fasting. They're always extremely dehydrated. And here's the interesting thing. Whenever we rehydrate them through our process, all the symptoms they thought they'd healed come roaring back. Their body couldn't do the work. All right, symptoms are evidence the body's cleansing and healing. So what does medicine do? Toxic medications suppress symptoms so the body can't cleanse and heal. And we feel better. But are we better off? We're now more toxic. Dry fasting does the same thing. and again, I'm not saying there's no benefit. You're fasting, so there is benefit from not eating. There's still some things that are happening. But making the body more dehydrated, which is absolutely what happens in every single case, that's what's going on. That's never beneficial to someone. So there's a lot of things that are going on that are actually harmful to the body. And in the last year, we've had several people here that actually needed a significant amount of healing because they had created significant issues as a result of dry fasting.
Yeah.
And it's scary. I mean, I actually know, I don't personally know, but I know, well, I had a friend who is dead from dry fasting.
Oh, yeah.
I know of at least 2 other people. There was a young man, a great young kid in his 20s. He was dry fasting extensively and wound up getting a tropical disease, which is no problem for a healthy body. Most people recover in a week. He died from it. His body was incredibly weak from dry fasting.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't make him healthier. Okay, it's just suppressing symptoms. So I've seen firsthand the problems created by it. I've seen what happens when we actually hydrate these people. There's no question. I think it's a serious mistake that people are making.
I think a lot of these people too they're probably not checking their hydration levels as they're dry fasting, and the whole point of healing is to rehydrate your body so you can start eliminating waste.
I don't know anyone else that checks hydration levels.
Yeah.
I mean, even people that have a bioimpedance scale, if you look at the Tanita manual that came with our $500 machine, there's, in fact, on your screen, if we look not on the spreadsheet we print out for you, we produce, but on the computer screen that talks to the device, it creates 3 bar graphs. One of them is on hydration, and it'll say, if you start out at 52%, it'll say that's fine. But it's not only, I mean, it's absurd because it's actually meaningless, because that number has absolutely no meaning unless we correct for fat.
Mm-hmm.
So if we have we have a couple of people here that came in pretty overweight, morbidly obese, their number on the scale is going to be 35%, or 40%, whereas someone who's very lean is going to be 75%. We can't say, oh, look, you're twice as hydrated as they are. That's not true.
Yeah.
It's just not the case. And so even people that are using the devices don't really understand what they're looking at. But very few people are even looking at hydration or even understand it. And this is true I suspect, of even people like Morse, who is telling people that this is a powerful practice. Mm-hmm. It's a powerful practice, absolutely. It's just not a powerful practice for your benefit.
Yeah. To me, when you explained it on day 2 or 3, just because there's such a hype around getting your kidneys to filter, and they will look like they're filtering more when you're concentrating the urine, but it's
exactly
because you're not drinking water.
That's right. I mean, it's really simple. In fact, my friend died because of kidney failure, and the kidney failure was caused because there wasn't enough water in the body, so that the kidneys were being scarred every time he was trying to eliminate. I mean, it's a constant process. Your kidneys never stop. Mm-hmm. So, and this is the thing, the kidneys never stop filtering. It's this idea that, your kidneys aren't filtering. Yeah, if your kidneys aren't filtering, you're a dead person. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's absurd. You can talk to anyone who understands physiology, and they'll tell you that's absolute nonsense. But as you just stated very clearly, imagine you've got X number of grams of garbage you're trying to get rid of, and you've got that in 250 milliliters of water, what that's going to look like relative to it being in 2.5 liters of water. Okay, obviously if it's in 10 times more water, it's going to look like it's more diluted. Mm-hmm. It's going to look more concentrated. Oh, look, I'm filtering better. There's more garbage. It's just more concentrated because the urine is not very plentiful. Yeah. But that's what causes damage to the body. We're never intended to function that way.
Yep.
But there's a lot of things, just a lot of misinformation out there, and perhaps some disinformation, but mostly misinformation.
Yep.
Well-meaning people. Unfortunately, one of the things I think, Jeff, that's true is that most of us, people in general, we're kind of looking for shortcuts. We want the easy way.
Of course. What can I take to get me where I want to go?
Exactly. Or what can I do? But what's the easiest way to get there? And that's completely understandable. I mean, I do the same thing myself. I think it's human nature. Of course, we want to do things the easiest way we can. That makes perfect sense. The problem is that, that's when we start believing in unicorns and leprechauns because they're magical and they're going to make it happen faster. And we call them magic bullets. There aren't any. It doesn't work that way. In order to clean the garbage out of the body, we have to give the body the conditions it needs. Water is the universal transport medium. Nothing is being transported out of the body if we reduce the amount of water, dramatically reduce the amount of water available. We're not helping anything. We're just shutting off the process so we feel better.
Yep. I noticed that personally. As I started having issues eliminating, I bumped up my water.
Yeah.
And instead of eating like mangoes and pineapple, I was chugging coconut, not chugging, but I was drinking more coconut water and watermelon.
Right.
And then I started to be able to eliminate.
Yeah.
And so I feel like a lot of people they can't wrap their head around the kidney filtration thing, but it's like your kidneys are always going to filter. And if you're drinking water, you're just not going to see it as concentrated. So
that's right. Yeah, we shouldn't be seeing a lot of concentrated stuff.
Yeah.
If it looks like it's concentrated, we probably have an issue.
Yep. And when I went through my water fast, my urine, I was peeing 10, 20 plus times a day sometimes. My urine smelled gnarly.
Yeah.
So I was definitely eliminating toxins. It's not like, it's just water. No, definitely not.
Well, I mean, again, the science is actually really clear. You're probably aware of this already, but the 2016 Nobel Prize for Medicine went to Yoshinori Osumi, Japanese PhD, for his 25 years or so work with autophagy, proving, I mean, it's funny in science, what they said in the paper was, that these things happen much more efficiently and much more effectively. This is the elimination of garbage from the body in starvation, when we're not eating, when we're fasting.
Yeah.
That's where we see the dramatic increase in the elimination of all the garbage that the body doesn't want. So we know this is happening. We can see it happening.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy to just, if you think about just the simplicity of drinking water, it just flushes you out. Rehydrates, it flushes, it, increases your amount of blood, and it helps.
Well, I mean, again, physiology is pretty clear. As I think you might have heard me say today, the average body needs, I forget exactly, but around 3 liters a day just for normal functioning. Now, the average person doesn't drink 3 liters of water per day, but they're getting water from some of their food, from whatever else they're drinking, and many people are getting more dehydrated because they're not taking it in. But a well-functioning body needs about 3 liters. That's including water to pee out, because we cleanse the body by eliminating through the urinary tract all the garbage that doesn't belong there. If there's not enough water to make enough urine to efficiently eliminate what we need to, we don't eliminate it very efficiently. We're also, most people here, the people we see that we actually measure, most people need to rehydrate the body. They need to rehydrate old stuff in the intestine. And I think you know what I'm talking about because if I didn't know better, I would have guessed that you'd eaten a couple bags of cement before you came.
My whole life was just dehydrated Skittles and cereal and just potato chips and nothing that had, honestly, I maybe ate fruits and vegetables like once every 2 months, pretty much my whole life growing up. It was all like cereal and donuts.
Right.
So, rehydrating that stuff is key.
Yeah,
it's key.
It's key, and the truth is that eliminating it can indeed be painful, right?
Which you guys will have probably found out by now.
Yes, right.
My detailed...
and I think it's important to point out that not everyone has eaten the way that you did, and even other people that have don't necessarily have the same experience.
Yeah.
So far, no one else that I can think of for a while has had an experience quite as painful as yours was.
Yeah.
I hear that and see that, every couple of years, but it's not like it's common.
Yeah.
It's not even 1% of the people I work with. I work with hundreds of people a year, and we don't see that regularly. So,
and here I am on the other side saying I would still go through that
do it again,
no matter what. I don't even care. It was brutal and it sucked, but the way I feel now, it was completely worth it times 100%.
Well, that's the thing. The critical piece that people who haven't been through this can't understand is just how good you can feel. Mm-hmm. Because if you've never gotten there, you can't even understand what we're talking about.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, you said, I feel better than I've ever felt. I literally hear that at least 20 or 30 times a year. Not every person, but at least 20 or 30 times a year, someone says to me, I've never felt this good in my life.
Yeah.
And that's why I keep doing this, because it's amazing. But yeah, I mean, getting that stuff out is critically important. Again, hydration, absolutely the key. It's absolutely key because nothing functions as well. I mean, just think about, I've been thinking about a couple of clients recently. It's frustrating because these people are just so unable to grasp simple concepts, people I'm working with now. But I understand. When you're dehydrated, that's what happens, right? One study says that if the brain is 2% dehydrated, you lose 20% cognitive function.
Wow. That's significant.
Yeah, and I mean, most people are pretty significantly dehydrated, so I suspect 2% people are blowing past that all the time,
Yep.
are much more dehydrated than that in the brain. We don't think as well, we're not as emotionally balanced, body doesn't heal as well, we're not flexible, we damage ourselves, we're tired, we're exhausted. Nothing functions properly unless we're fully hydrated. We can't get fully hydrated unless we remove that old stuff from the body. I mean, I'm so clear about this. We see it over and over again.
Yep. It's nice having your daily lectures because I see some people who might not be as interested in health, they just kind of want to lose weight and they're like, whatever. But to hear it over and over and just drilled in our brain, it's like we need to understand and grasp this. If we can't grasp this, then we're probably going to make the wrong diet choices when we break our fast.
Right.
Or go back home, you know?
Agreed.
So, yeah, it's starting to rain pretty hard now. So, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Why don't you tell us about this pretty rad project you're working on? So, just preface that pretty much the whole time I've been here, I haven't really explored. I haven't had any energy, but now that I've been refeeding, I've been walking around. Just the property you have in Costa Rica is it's incredible. It's one of the most beautiful places I've ever been to.
Me too.
And so, why don't you tell us about this little side project you got going on?
Yeah, side project is going to be a multi-thousand-acre nature preserve. The goal is to create the largest collection of tropical fruit species on the planet. We're well on our way. I mean, we have a long way to go, but we've got hundreds of species already. There'll be a world-class botanical garden. There'll be an intentional raw vegan community. There'll be a vegan community. And we're creating because we have adventure sports, canopy tours, zip lines, mountain bike park, high adventure park, rock climbing, BMX biking. There'll probably be some water sports. We've got about 3 kilometers of river frontage right now. As you know, we have, I'm not even sure, I've lost track. I think we've got 17 waterfalls that we know of, including the 2 highest ones in Central America on this not this property down the road, a mile from here. And so there'll be a lot of cool things going on. And and then there'll be an opportunity for community members to run businesses because we're going to be attracting a lot of tourists to the project. So I'm super excited about this. You know, the last quarter century, nearly, I've focused on this one thing. In the past year, I finally branched. For years, I've wanted to do this. We finally came out with the Academy for Vibrant Living, and we rolled out our first 2 courses, Vibrant Health course, the Health Coaching course. We're getting amazing feedback from students. We have a couple students here now. We're getting really great feedback. We have several people that have already completed the courses, and spent a lot of time putting that together, but now I'm pretty hands-off with that. But the next quarter century, I'm going to be focused on Las Cascadas.
Yeah.
And the 7, 8 quarter centuries after that, I'm not sure yet. We'll see what happens.
Think you'll make it that long?
I really have no idea. I'm kidding.
Hope so.
Well, I like life. I love being alive. Life is good. You feel good.
Yeah.
And I've felt good every day for 30 years now. So I suspect I'm 60 now. I think there's no reason, I don't think there's a reason anyone can't make it to 125 if they take care of themselves. Maybe I can go longer than that. Honestly, I don't really care. I mean, this may sound crazy. I was in a pretty scary situation about 10 years ago where my brakes failed. I'm on a mountain road. By the time I get down to where this occurred, I'm doing 60 miles an hour. And I realized I had 3 options, and they all looked like certain death. No matter what I did, I was going to die. And I thought, okay, I've had a good life. I was like, I was at peace with it. And so, honestly, if I died today, that's fine. If I'm around for 150 more years, that's great. There's a lot more waves I'd like to catch.
Yep.
There's a lot more durians I'd like to eat. We haven't shared a durian yet, so
Not
it's too
yet.
early, right?
Someday.
Someday. But yeah, who knows?
Yeah. Well, I have to stress to the viewers how important I think you are to the world. There's not a lot of people who keep healing as simple as you and who have actually themselves lived it, So just the fact that you've been like really simple fruit-based, simple salads, done lots of cleaning, and you've done this for 30 years, and from what you say and act like, you're like one of the most highly efficient people I've ever met. All day long, you're just going and going and going, and you seem to be in better shape than most of the people that are 25,
I think there's some truth to that. I do well. I think it's, and I think it's important to understand, and I think you know my story a little bit, but I was very, very sick when I was 23, 24, 25, 26. At 26, I walked away from medicine, took over my own healing, and since then, in the last 34 years, it's a whole new reality. I feel better now than I did when I was 18.
Yeah.
And I'm clear anyone can do the same thing.
Yeah. Most people don't understand how good they can feel until they get there.
That's right.
And you realize, damn, I was not feeling normal. That was not how a human should feel.
No, exactly. That's right. Exactly.
Yep.
So,
well, all right, Loren. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
This experience literally changed my entire life. I was really scared coming into this, and just being here, I thought about doing it on my own, and I was like, I probably won't make it. Just being around this community of people who are fasting, being around you, and just in so many different ways, you've inspired
my amazing
me.
team.
The people that work here are all previous fasters. Gemma sitting right behind the camera, and
the volunteers. We have 15 paid staff who haven't fasted. Some of them have, not all of them. They've all been offered free fasts. Most of them weren't willing to do it.
Yeah. It's magical, this community, this area, just what you've created in the world. It's like one of the most unique experiences that anybody could want to experience. And if you're looking to find health, it's the dude. It's the dude, So why don't you tell us where we can find you?
I'm right here, man.
All right, that's it.
Here we are. TanglewoodWellnessCenter.com. AcademyForVibrantLiving.com, LasCascadas.org, YouTube. I've got a pretty big channel, 800 some videos, I think. Loren Lockman, Instagram. Gemma is responsible for most of that content. But yeah.
All right, well, one last question.
Sure.
If you could only live on 2 fruits for the rest of your life, what would they be?
That's a really tough question. That's a really tough question. And my answer is probably going to surprise a lot of people. I think you know how much I love durian. Gemma knows more because we've been sharing meals together for, 4 months or 5 months now that she's been here since completing her process with me. There's a lot of fruits I really, really love. But I'll tell you, as much as I love durian and champodak and meringue and Cuban red bananas and some of the other things, if I only had 2 fruits, they probably wouldn't be included. The fruits I'd be living on would be watermelon and papaya.
I honestly thought you would say that.
Yeah.
It'd be pretty hard to live on during. You'd probably feel a little weighted down, but
I would say so.
every moment you'd eat would be pure bliss.
Well, I agree with you, but yeah, I mean, I had the experience once of being treated to durian every day, 4 days in a row. And on day 5, I said, no, thank you. For me, it was enough. I needed a break. I love it, but it's heavy.
Yeah.
It's heavy. And the same is true of some of the other things. So watermelon and papaya, I mean, I probably have eaten watermelon. I've probably eaten watermelon or papaya 5 or 6 days a week for the last 16 years.
That's insane.
Yeah. And I mean, I never get tired of them. I could eat them over and over again. It's becoming a little more challenging. Now, for a while, we really only had a handful of things available to us most of the time. We're now starting to bear fruit. We're picking new things all the time. And before long, we're going to have 50, 60 fruits available at one time. I'm not sure what I'm going to do.
Yeah, that's exciting to know that, though.
I only eat, 10 to 15 times a week, so it's going to be hard to choose.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Loren. I really appreciate sitting down with me.
My pleasure.
And,
my pleasure.
I can't even just describe how life-changing this experience was.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you
Thank you.
for being here with us, for trusting us with your health and your process. It's been a real pleasure having you, Jeff.
Awesome. Thank you.